What if I told you that right now, surrounding you, is an endless, invisible stream of knowledge, a source of wisdom so profound that history's greatest minds tapped into it, yet you were never taught how to access it? Think about it. How did Nikola Tesla receive visions of inventions before he even built them? How did Leonardo da Vinci sketch machines centuries ahead of his time? How did ancient civilizations construct monuments with mathematical precision we still struggle to comprehend today? They weren't guessing, they weren't just brilliant, they were listening, receiving, connecting to something beyond themselves, something that most people have been conditioned to ignore. And the truth is, you have the same ability. You were born with it, but no one ever showed you how to use it. Since childhood, you were taught that knowledge comes from books, schools, experts. You were trained to believe that the only way to learn is by memorizing, by studying, by collecting information from external sources. But what if real knowledge, the deepest, most powerful kind, doesn't come from the outside? What if it's already within you, waiting to be unlocked? This isn't just a concept. It's a reality that's been hidden from you. Right now, as you listen, there's a part of you that already knows this to be true. Maybe you've had moments where an idea, a realization, or a solution just appeared in your mind out of nowhere. Maybe you've had dreams that felt more real than waking life. Maybe you've experienced a sudden knowing, a gut feeling so strong that it turned out to be right, even when logic said otherwise. That was you tapping into something beyond what the world tells you is possible. That was you accessing the invisible stream of knowledge. This stream has been described by different names throughout history. Some call it the Akashic Records, the collective consciousness, the universal mind. Scientists might refer to it as quantum intelligence, the field of information that connects all things. Spiritual teachers have called it divine wisdom, or the voice of the higher self. But no matter what you call it, the experience is the same. An unexplainable direct download of truth, ideas, and insights from a source beyond the logical mind. And here's the most shocking part. You're already connected to it. Every single person has access to this stream, but most people block it without even realizing it. Why? Because society has trained you to rely only on what you can see, hear, and measure. You were never taught to trust your intuition. You were never encouraged to sit in silence and receive. You were told that imagination is just fantasy, that instincts are unreliable, that knowledge only comes from hard study. But what if that was never the whole truth? If you look back through history, the greatest breakthroughs didn't come from textbooks. They came from moments of inspiration, sudden flashes of insight that changed everything. Albert Einstein spoke about his ideas coming to him in intuitive bursts, beyond logical thinking. Mozart said that his symphonies arrived fully formed in his mind, as if dictated by something beyond him. Even Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple, often spoke of trusting his inner knowing, calling it more powerful than intellect. These weren't just moments of genius. These were moments of connection, of tapping into something greater than the self. The question is, how can you do it? How can you open yourself to the stream of knowledge that's already flowing around you? The answer is both simple and profound. You must learn how to listen. Right now, your mind is filled with noise, thoughts racing, distractions pulling your attention, doubts telling you what's not possible. This noise is the very thing that keeps you disconnected from the knowledge stream. But the moment you quiet the mind, something incredible happens. Insights start to emerge, answers reveal themselves. Creativity flows effortlessly. This is why meditation is not just a relaxation technique, it's a key that unlocks access to this deeper intelligence. The ancient yogis knew this. The mystics, the seers, the visionaries, they all understood that true wisdom doesn't come from thinking harder, but from thinking less. It comes from creating space for knowledge to reach you. But silence isn't the only way. Have you ever noticed how certain activities put you in a flow state, where ideas come effortlessly, where time seems to disappear? That's because flow states are another gateway to this knowledge stream. Artists experience it when they paint. Writers experience it when words pour onto the page. Athletes experience it when they're fully immersed in the moment. And here's the secret. You don't have to be a genius to access this. You don't have to be a scientist, an artist, or a monk. This ability is already inside you. You just have to learn how to remove the blocks that have kept you from using it. The first step is trusting your intuition. How many times have you had a feeling about something, an inner knowing, but ignored it because it didn't seem logical? That feeling wasn't random. It was a message, a signal from the knowledge stream, guiding you toward truth. The more you start listening, the stronger it becomes. The second step is learning how to ask the right questions. Have you ever noticed that when you truly seek an answer, life has a way of delivering it? It might come through a book, a conversation, a sudden realization. That's because the knowledge stream responds to intent. When you ask, the answers come, but you have to be willing to recognize them when they do. The third step is raising your vibration. Think of this knowledge stream like a radio frequency. If you're tuned into the wrong station, if your energy is low, if your mind is clouded with negativity, you won't hear the signal clearly. But the higher your vibration, the more you cultivate gratitude, curiosity, and presence, the clearer the stream becomes. Right now, the world is waking up. More people than ever are beginning to realize that reality is not as fixed as we once believed, that knowledge is not just something external, it's something you can receive. The greatest minds of history have known this truth for centuries, and now it's your turn to discover it for yourself. Because once you do, you will never see the world the same way again. Imagine for a moment that everything you've ever struggled to understand, every question you've ever had about life, about your purpose, about the universe itself, already has an answer. Not an answer written in a book, not an answer locked away in some ancient text, but an answer that is already available to you, waiting for you to access it. If that sounds impossible, consider this. Every great breakthrough, every life-changing invention, every inspired work of art did not come from struggle. It came from revelation, from a sudden flash of insight that seemed to come out of nowhere. And yet, it didn't come from nowhere. It came from the stream, the invisible, ever-flowing current of knowledge that surrounds you at every moment. You were never taught to access it, but that doesn't mean you can't. You just have to learn to recognize it, to trust it, to align yourself with it. And when you do, something incredible happens. Life stops feeling like a series of obstacles and starts feeling like a conversation between you and the intelligence of the universe itself. Think about how many times you've been on the verge of a great idea only to have it slip away. How many times have you felt like an answer was just out of reach, like something deep inside you already knew but you just couldn't quite grasp it? That's because this knowledge doesn't come through force. It doesn't come through overthinking. It comes in the quiet moments, in the stillness between thoughts. That's why the most profound ideas come when you're not trying, when you're in the shower, when you're driving, when you're staring at the sky, lost in thought. This is how the stream speaks to you, not through words, not through logic, but through direct knowing. It's the voice that tells you to take a different path even when you don't know why. It's the feeling in your gut that warns you before something bad happens. It's the sudden pull toward an idea, a book, a place, a person without explanation. The more you ignore it, the quieter it becomes. But the more you listen, the louder it gets. And history is filled with people who listened. Nikola Tesla didn't struggle to come up with his inventions. He saw them fully formed in his mind before he even built them. Leonardo da Vinci spoke of visions that guided his work. Edgar Cayce, one of the most documented psychics in history, could enter a trance and retrieve knowledge he had no logical way of knowing. And it's not just the visionaries, artists, scientists, musicians, inventors, all have described the same experience of receiving ideas rather than creating them. But here's what they don't tell you. This ability is not limited to a few chosen people. This stream of knowledge is not exclusive. It's not something you have to be born with or something only geniuses can access. It's available to everyone, including you. The only difference is most people have been conditioned to ignore it. You were taught to rely on what can be measured, tested, proven. You were told that knowledge comes from study, from repetition, from analysis. But what if the most powerful knowledge of all isn't something you learn, but something you remember? Right now, the world is operating in a way that keeps people disconnected. Everything around you is designed to keep your mind busy, to keep you distracted, to keep you from tuning in to what is already within you. Social media floods your brain with endless streams of information, but none of it is truly yours. The news fills your mind with noise, drowning out the quiet wisdom that is trying to reach you. Fear, doubt, anxiety, these are not just emotions, they are interference. And if you don't clear the interference, you will never hear the signal. So, how do you break free? How do you step outside the noise and start listening? The first step is trust. Trust that this knowledge is real. Trust that you are already connected to it. Trust that your instincts, your inner knowing, are not random. They are messages. They are guidance. And the more you trust, the more you receive. The second step is making space. If your mind is constantly running, constantly chasing, constantly searching, you will miss what is right in front of you. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. This is why meditation, stillness, even something as simple as sitting quietly and observing your thoughts, can unlock insights beyond anything the logical mind can comprehend. The third step is asking. The universe responds to intent. When you seek knowledge with genuine curiosity, when you ask a question from a place of true openness, the answer will come. It might come as a sudden realization. It might come as a book that lands in your hands at just the right moment. It might come as a dream, a coincidence, a whisper in the back of your mind. But it will come. The key is to recognize it. And finally, the most important step of all, alignment. Knowledge is energy. The stream is a frequency, and if you are operating in fear, doubt, or negativity, you are not tuned into that frequency. You are stuck in static, disconnected from the flow. But when you shift your state, when you raise your vibration through gratitude, through curiosity, through joy, you become a receiver. The answers come effortlessly. The insights pour in. Life begins to flow, not because the world outside of you changes, but because your awareness shifts. This is why those who master this connection seem to move through life effortlessly. It's not that they are lucky. It's not that they have something you don't. It's that they trust the process. They listen, they align, they follow the signals, even when they don't make sense. And as a result, they see opportunities where others see obstacles. They receive answers where others see confusion. They know things that others believe are impossible to know. The world is waking up. More people than ever are starting to realize that reality is not what we've been told, that consciousness is not limited to the brain, that knowledge is not something we must acquire but something we must remember. The invisible stream is real, it is waiting for you, and the moment you open yourself to it, everything changes. Because once you see this truth, you can never unsee it. Once you experience it, you can never go back. You have a choice. You can continue to live in the illusion that knowledge is something external, something separate from you, or you can step into the reality that knowledge is something you are already a part of, something that is already within you. And when you do, life will never be the same again. Think about the moments in your life when everything just seemed to fall into place. Maybe you had an idea come to you at the perfect time, or a solution appeared effortlessly, or you met someone who led you to exactly what you needed. These moments were not coincidences. They were glimpses into the hidden intelligence that operates behind the scenes of your reality. The knowledge stream is always there, always trying to guide you, always available to those who are willing to listen. But listening is not something most people are trained to do. Instead, people are trained to force answers, to seek knowledge in the way they've been taught, by collecting facts, by memorizing, by analyzing. But the greatest minds in history did not rely on memorization. They relied on intuition. They understood that there is a source of intelligence far greater than the thinking mind, a source that does not operate through logic, but through direct revelation. Nikola Tesla once said that the moment he received his greatest ideas, he saw them fully formed in his mind as if they had been given to him. Einstein spoke of an intuitive knowing that led him to his theories before he could even prove them mathematically. Mozart said that his symphonies arrived in his mind already complete, as if dictated by some unseen force. These were not just moments of genius. These were downloads. These were examples of people accessing the invisible stream of knowledge. But why does this stream seem so elusive to most people? Why do some receive profound insights while others feel lost, disconnected, unsure? The answer is simple. Most people are living in a constant state of interference. The human mind is like a receiver, constantly picking up signals, constantly processing information, but just like a radio, if you are tuned to the wrong frequency, all you hear is static. That static comes in many forms. It comes from the distractions of modern life. Endless scrolling, meaningless entertainment, the constant noise that fills every empty moment. It comes from mental clutter, worry, stress, overthinking. It comes from self-doubt, from limiting beliefs that tell you knowledge is something outside of you, something that must be earned rather than something that can be received. But the moment you clear the static, something incredible happens. The signal comes through, the insights appear, the ideas flow. Because the truth is, you do not have to create wisdom, you only have to receive it. The most powerful minds in history knew this secret. They knew that the key to knowledge was not more thinking, but less thinking, that real wisdom comes not from effort, but from stillness. This is why the greatest breakthroughs often happen when the mind is at rest. This is why ideas appear in dreams, why solutions emerge in the moments between thoughts. The stream of knowledge does not need you to struggle for answers. It only needs you to become still enough to hear them. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This invisible stream is not just a source of intellectual knowledge. It is also a source of guidance. It is the force that nudges you toward the right people, the right places, the right opportunities. It is the intelligence that orchestrates synchronicities, that whispers to you through intuition, that places you exactly where you need to be, if you are willing to listen. The problem is, most people dismiss these signals. They ignore their gut feelings. They rationalize their instincts away. They assume that intuition is unreliable, that inner knowing is just wishful thinking. But what if that feeling in your gut was not random? What if your instincts were not just thoughts, but signals? What if the moments of deep knowing, the moments when you just know something without being able to explain why, are actually the most truthful moments of your life? The more you trust these signals, the stronger they become. The more you act on them, the clearer they get. And eventually you stop needing external validation to confirm what you already know deep inside. You begin to live in alignment with a force far greater than your logical mind. And this is where life starts to change in ways you never imagined. Decisions become easier because you no longer need to analyze every possibility, you simply know. Creativity becomes effortless because ideas flow through you rather than from you. Opportunities begin to appear because you are finally in sync with the rhythm of the universe. But the real transformation happens when you stop seeing yourself as separate from this intelligence, when you stop thinking of the knowledge stream as something out there, and realize that you are already a part of it. Your mind is not just a receiver of knowledge, it is an extension of the very intelligence that creates reality itself. And when you understand this, the way you interact with the world changes forever. You start to see patterns where others see randomness. You start to feel guided instead of lost. You stop fighting against life and start working with it. And most importantly, you stop searching for answers outside of yourself, because you realize that everything you need to know, everything you have ever sought, has always been within you. This is why the ancient mystics spent their lives in meditation, not because they were escaping the world, but because they were listening. This is why visionaries throughout history have described moments of enlightenment, where everything suddenly made sense, where knowledge flooded their consciousness as if it had been waiting for them all along. And this is why people who master this connection seem to live in a completely different reality, because they are not forcing life, they are allowing life. They are not struggling for knowledge, they are receiving it. So the real question is, are you ready to open yourself to this intelligence? Are you ready to clear the static, to remove the interference, to finally hear the signal that has been calling you all along? Because the moment you do, the moment you truly begin to trust in the guidance that is already available to you, everything changes. You stop feeling stuck. You stop feeling uncertain. You start to see life as a conversation, a dialogue between you and the greater intelligence that surrounds you. And the more you engage with it, the more it responds. The more you trust it, the more it reveals. Because this is not just about accessing knowledge, this is about awakening to the truth of who you really are. You are not just a person moving through the world struggling to find answers. You are an extension of the same intelligence that creates the world. And once you remember this, once you truly understand it, nothing will ever be the same again. You've been conditioned to believe that knowledge is something you must chase, something you must seek outside of yourself. You were taught that the answers you need exist in books, in classrooms, in institutions. But what if that was only part of the truth? What if real knowledge, the kind that changes lives, the kind that brings clarity, purpose, and insight, was never something you had to find? What if it was something that has always been trying to find you? Right now, as you listen, there is an intelligence moving through you. It's been there your entire life. It speaks to you through your instincts, through your emotions, through the unexplainable moments when you just know something before you even have proof. But over time you were trained to ignore it. You were taught to silence your inner voice in favor of what the world told you was true. You were told that if you can't see it, if you can't measure it, then it isn't real. And so, little by little, you lost touch with something that was once natural to you. You stopped listening to your intuition. You stopped trusting the signs. You stopped believing in your own ability to receive knowledge without struggle. But here's what they never told you. This invisible stream of knowledge has never left you. It's still there, waiting for you to reconnect with it. And the moment you do, your entire reality shifts. Suddenly, things begin to make sense in a way they never did before. The right opportunities begin appearing at the right time. The answers you need seem to come to you effortlessly. The confusion that once weighed you down disappears, replaced by a deep sense of knowing. This is not magic. This is not superstition. This is how reality has always worked, but most people are too distracted to see it. The world is designed to keep your mind occupied, to keep you so busy looking outward that you never stop to look inward. Every notification, every advertisement, every news headline pulling at your attention is part of the interference that keeps you disconnected. And as long as you remain disconnected, you will always feel like something is missing. But the truth is, nothing is missing. You are not lost. You have simply forgotten how to listen. The knowledge you seek is not out there. It is within you. It always has been. So how do you begin to access it? How do you clear away the interference and reconnect with this stream of wisdom? The first step is to slow down, not just physically but mentally. The reason why most people never access higher knowledge is not because they lack intelligence. It's because their minds are too noisy to hear it. The answers are always available, but if your mind is filled with worry, doubt, overthinking, and endless distractions, you will never recognize them. This is why some of the most brilliant minds in history spent hours in solitude, in nature, in deep reflection. They understood that inspiration does not come from forcing ideas. It comes from making space for them to arrive. And when the space is clear, the stream flows effortlessly. Have you ever noticed that your best ideas come when you least expect them? When you're in the shower, when you're driving, when you're lying in bed about to fall asleep? That's because in those moments your mind is finally quiet enough to receive. It is in these spaces between thoughts that the stream can finally reach you. The next step is learning to trust what comes through. How many times have you had a gut feeling about something only to ignore it? How many times have you dismissed a thought, an idea, a sudden inspiration because it didn't seem logical? That is the conditioning of the world, keeping you blind to the intelligence that is always trying to guide you. You were trained to believe that if something cannot be explained, it must not be real. But some of the most powerful knowledge does not come in the form of explanations, it comes in the form of knowing. And when you begin to trust that knowing, when you begin to act on it, something incredible happens. The more you listen, the stronger it becomes. The more you trust, the clearer it gets. And soon what once felt like random moments of insight begin to feel like a constant conversation. You start to notice the patterns, the synchronicities, the subtle ways in which the universe is always speaking to you. And then you realize something even more profound. This stream of knowledge is not separate from you. It is not something you tap into from time to time. It is what you are. You are not just a mind, not just a body. You are consciousness itself, a living extension of the same intelligence that creates worlds. And the reason you are able to receive knowledge from this stream is because you are already a part of it. And when you truly grasp this, when you embody it, your life will never be the same, because suddenly fear disappears. Uncertainty fades. You stop looking to the outside world for answers because you finally understand that everything you need is already within you. The greatest minds in history did not rely on external sources for their breakthroughs. They did not wait for permission to access higher knowledge. They simply allowed it. They trusted it. And because they trusted it, the knowledge flowed through them effortlessly. And now it is your turn. The universe is always speaking. The stream is always flowing. The only question is, will you listen, or will you continue to believe that knowledge is something you must struggle for? The moment you shift your perspective, the moment you stop chasing and start allowing, the moment you begin to trust the intelligence that is already within you, everything changes. Because this is not about learning something new. This is about remembering something ancient. This is about waking up to the truth that has been hidden from you for far too long. You were never meant to live disconnected. You were never meant to struggle for wisdom. You were meant to move in harmony with the intelligence of the universe. And the moment you choose to do that, the moment you choose to surrender to the flow of knowledge rather than fight against it, life stops feeling like a battle. It becomes a dance, a rhythm, a masterpiece unfolding before your very eye. And from that moment on, you will never need to search for answers again, because you will know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that the answers have always been within you. The moment you realize that knowledge is not something you must acquire, but something you must allow, everything shifts. The struggle disappears. The confusion dissolves. You no longer feel the need to force solutions, to overanalyze, to endlessly seek, because the answers are already there, waiting for you to recognize them. Life begins to unfold in ways you never expected, not because the world has changed, but because your perception has changed. You begin to see patterns where others see chaos. You notice synchronicities where others see coincidences. You no longer rely on effort alone, because you now understand that alignment is far more powerful than force. When you look back at your life, you'll start to see the moments when this knowledge stream was already guiding you, even when you weren't consciously aware of it. The times when you followed an instinct that led you to something life-changing. The moments when you felt drawn toward a book, a person, an opportunity without knowing why, only to realize later that it was exactly what you needed. The times when an idea appeared out of nowhere, as if whispered into your mind, and led you to something extraordinary. And then you'll begin to wonder, how much have you missed? How many times has the stream tried to guide you, but you dismissed it? How many insights have arrived, only to be pushed aside because they didn't make logical sense? How many times have you ignored a deep knowing because the world told you that logic is the only path to truth? But logic is limited. It is based on the past, on what has already been known, on what can be measured and proven. The stream of knowledge is limitless. It is beyond time, beyond logic, beyond what the mind can grasp. It is the place where all ideas exist before they take form. And once you learn how to tune into it, you are no longer confined to what is possible. You begin to operate from a realm of infinite potential. This is why those who master this connection seem to move through life differently. They are not struggling, they are not forcing. They are in flow, they are guided. They act with certainty, not because they have analyzed every possibility, but because they have learned to trust. They trust their instincts. They trust their inner voice. They trust the signals that most people ignore. And because they trust, they receive. This is not reserved for the select few. This is available to everyone, but few are willing to break free from the conditioning that tells them to only trust what they can see. Few are willing to quiet the noise long enough to actually hear. Few are willing to embrace the unknown and let the answers come, rather than chasing them through endless struggle. But the moment you decide that you are ready, the stream responds. The moment you choose to listen, the guidance appears. And once you experience this, even once, you will never be able to deny it again, because once you know, you cannot unknow. So what happens next? How do you begin to shift from seeking to receiving? It starts with awareness. It starts with recognizing that the knowledge stream is always active, always flowing, always available. The question is not whether it exists. The question is whether you are listening. The first shift happens when you begin to pay attention. Start noticing the moments when an idea arrives out of nowhere. Notice the times when your gut feeling tells you something before your mind can explain it. Notice the subtle nudges that seem to be pointing you in a direction you weren't even considering. These are not random. These are not meaningless. These are glimpses into the stream. The second shift happens when you begin to trust, when you stop second-guessing yourself, when you stop dismissing your instincts in favor of what is rational, practical, or expected, when you start acting on the knowledge that comes through, even when you don't yet have the evidence to back it up. Because the stream does not always give you proof first, it gives you the knowing first, and the proof comes later. The third shift happens when you begin to quiet the noise. The more still you become, the more clearly the knowledge can reach you. The less distracted your mind is, the more effortlessly the insights flow. This is why silence is so powerful. This is why solitude is essential. This is why those who master this connection often retreat from the world, not to escape it, but to tune into something deeper. And the final shift happens when you start to live from this connection, when you no longer see yourself as separate from the intelligence of the universe, when you stop looking for answers outside of yourself and begin to recognize that you are already a part of the wisdom you seek. This is where life truly transforms, because suddenly you are no longer waiting for direction, you are moving with it. You are no longer stuck in indecision, you know. You are no longer trapped in the limitations of what has been, you are creating from the infinite field of possibility. And the world will not understand. The people around you may not see what you see. They may not believe what you know to be true. They may still be trapped in the illusion that knowledge is something external, something separate, something that must be earned through struggle. But you will know better. And as you begin to live in alignment with this truth, something extraordinary happens. Your energy shifts, your reality shifts. You begin to attract different experiences, different people, different opportunities. Because you are no longer moving through life blindly, you are moving with awareness. And this is the secret that has been hidden from you. The secret that those in power do not want you to realize. Because the moment you reconnect with the stream, the moment you remember that you already have access to infinite intelligence, you become free. Free from doubt, free from fear, free from the systems that have kept you small. Because the greatest lie you were ever told is that you are limited, that you are separate, that you must struggle for wisdom. But you are not limited, you are not separate, and you never had to struggle. You only had to remember. And now the choice is yours. You can continue to live as you always have, relying only on what is known, what is proven, what is seen. Or you can step into a new way of being, a way of trust, a way of flow, a way of knowing that the answers you seek are already within you. And once you make that choice, once you commit to listening, to receiving, to trusting, the stream will begin to reveal itself in ways you never imagined, because it has always been there, and it has been waiting for you to wake up. There is a moment when everything shifts, a moment when you stop searching for answers outside of yourself and begin to recognize that knowledge has always been flowing to you, a moment when you realize that the invisible stream of wisdom is not something you have to reach for, but something you have to allow. And in that moment, life begins to move differently. Decisions become effortless, inspiration becomes constant. There is no more questioning, no more hesitation, just a deep and undeniable knowing. You have felt glimpses of this before. You have had moments when clarity struck like lightning, when an idea came from nowhere, when a path revealed itself without explanation. Those were not coincidences. Those were not random. They were invitations. They were proof that the stream has always been there, waiting for you to listen. The only reason you have not accessed it fully is because you were conditioned to believe that knowing must be earned, that you must study, that you must seek, that you must look to others to tell you what is true. But the greatest minds in history did not wait for permission to access higher knowledge. They did not confine themselves to what had already been discovered. They understood that the greatest insights do not come from books, from theories, from logic alone. They come from receiving. And once you begin to receive, everything changes. The way you move through life changes. You no longer waste time trying to force things into place. You no longer struggle against the flow of events, trying to control outcomes that were never meant to be controlled. You begin to trust. You begin to listen. You begin to feel the difference between what is forced and what is aligned. This is why those who are tapped into this wisdom seem to live in a completely different reality. They are not making decisions based on fear. They are not following the path that others have laid out for them. They are following an inner compass that never fails. They know when to act and when to wait. They know when to push forward and when to surrender. They know, not because they have figured it all out, but because they have learned to trust the stream that is always guiding them. And the more you trust it, the more it reveals. The more you listen, the louder it speaks. The more you allow, the more effortlessly life unfolds. But most people never reach this place because they are too caught up in the noise. They are too distracted, too conditioned to believe that their thoughts are the only source of truth. They have spent their entire lives being told that if something cannot be explained, it must not be real. They dismiss their own intuition. They ignore the signs. They doubt themselves at every turn. And as a result, they remain stuck in a cycle of confusion, constantly looking outside of themselves for answers that can only be found within. But you are beginning to remember. You are beginning to see the truth that has been hidden in plain sight. The stream is not something you must earn access to. It is something you must tune into. And once you do, you will wonder how you ever lived without it. So how do you make this shift? How do you step into a life where knowledge flows effortlessly to you? The first and most important step is to clear the interference. Right now, your mind is like a radio tuned to the wrong frequency. The signal is always there, but as long as there is static, you will not hear it clearly. The static comes in the form of doubt, of fear, of constant distraction. It comes from overthinking, from filling your mind with endless noise, from looking to the outside world for validation instead of looking within. The more you clear the noise, the more you will hear the signal. The second step is to start trusting what comes through. When an idea comes to you, don't dismiss it. When your instincts tell you something, don't ignore them. When life presents you with synchronicities, don't brush them off as coincidence. The more you trust, the more you receive. The stream does not speak through logic. It speaks through knowing. And if you constantly demand proof before you trust it, you will never access its full power. The third step is to act in alignment with what you receive. Knowledge without action is wasted. When an insight comes to you, act on it. When guidance appears, follow it. This is how the stream begins to shape your reality. The more you align with it, the more life begins to move in ways you never imagined. And the final step is to surrender to the flow. You do not have to force this connection. You do not have to struggle to access this knowledge. It is already a part of you. You only have to allow it. You only have to let go of the belief that wisdom is something separate from you. The moment you surrender, the moment you let go of the need to control every aspect of your life, the moment you open yourself to receive, the stream begins to pour into your awareness like never before. And then something incredible happens. You stop searching. You stop struggling. You stop second-guessing every decision because you know. You feel the answers before they arrive. You sense the right path before you even see it. You begin to move with a kind of confidence that cannot be taught, because it does not come from the mind. It comes from the deepest part of you. This is why the world will never understand those who operate from this place. To those who are disconnected, it looks like luck. It looks like coincidence. But those who know, know. They know that the stream is real. They know that knowledge is always available. They know that the universe is not a random collection of events, but an intelligent living field of consciousness that is always guiding, always revealing, always responding. And now you have a choice. You can continue to move through life as you always have, relying only on what can be seen, measured, and proven, or you can step into a new way of being, a way of trust, a way of intuition, a way of knowing. The stream is not waiting for you to be worthy. It is not waiting for you to earn access. It is already flowing. It has always been flowing. The only question is, are you ready to listen? Because once you do, once you truly embrace this connection, life becomes something entirely different. The struggle disappears. The doubt fades. You begin to receive not just knowledge, but clarity, direction, purpose. And when you look back, you will realize that the stream was never outside of you. It was always a part of you. It was always who you are. The moment you begin to trust the stream of knowledge, life takes on a different rhythm. The weight of uncertainty disappears. The hesitation that once held you back fades away. You no longer waste energy trying to figure out every detail, because you begin to see that the answers are always arriving exactly when you need them. It's not luck, it's not coincidence, it's alignment. And the more aligned you become, the more effortlessly life unfolds. At first, this may feel unnatural. You've been conditioned to believe that life must be difficult, that knowledge must be earned, that success comes only through struggle. But what if that was never true? What if you were meant to move through life with ease, guided by an intelligence greater than your logical mind? What if you were designed to receive? What if you've been operating with an outdated understanding of how reality works? Because that's exactly what has happened. You were taught that knowledge is something external, that truth is something given to you by others, that your role is to absorb information, repeat it, and apply it. But what if knowledge is not something you take in, but something that moves through you? What if you are not just a receiver of knowledge, but a conduit for it? What if everything you've ever needed to know has already been available to you, waiting for the moment when you would be open enough to receive it? Think about those moments in your life when an answer came to you before you even asked the question. The moments when you had a deep knowing, an unshakable certainty about something without any logical reason for it. The moments when you followed an instinct and later realized it led you exactly where you needed to be. Those were not accidents. Those were glimpses into the true nature of reality, a reality where knowledge does not have to be pursued, it only has to be recognized. And when you begin to recognize it, everything changes. You stop forcing, you stop questioning, you stop doubting whether or not you're on the right path, because you begin to feel it. You begin to notice the signs, the synchronicities, the subtle guidance that has been there all along. And the more you acknowledge it, the more it reveals itself to you. This is the greatest secret that has been hidden from you, the secret that those in power do not want you to know. Because the moment you tap into the stream of knowledge, you become unstoppable. You no longer need to be told what to do. You no longer need external validation. You no longer need to look outside of yourself for truth, because you have direct access to it. And this is why the world is designed to keep you distracted. This is why your mind is constantly bombarded with information, entertainment, noise. Because as long as you are focused on the external, you will never discover the internal. You will never hear the wisdom that is waiting for you in the silence. You will never recognize the intelligence that is constantly trying to reach you. But now, you are beginning to wake up. You are beginning to see beyond the illusion. You are beginning to realize that reality is not what you were told. And as you shift your awareness, as you begin to clear the interference and open yourself to receive, you will notice something incredible happening. The stream of knowledge will begin to communicate with you more clearly than ever before. At first it may come in whispers, subtle nudges, small moments of insight, gentle guidance pulling you in a direction you didn't expect. But the more you trust it, the louder it becomes. The more you listen, the more undeniable it is. And soon you will find yourself moving through life with a certainty that others do not understand. You will make decisions without hesitation. You will feel a pull toward certain choices, certain opportunities, certain people, and you will know that they are meant for you. And here's the most incredible part. When you begin to live in this way, the world begins to respond to you differently. Because you are no longer operating from a place of confusion, the external world begins to mirror your clarity. Because you are no longer waiting for answers, the answers arrive effortlessly. Because you are no longer doubting yourself, opportunities begin to align with you in ways that seem almost magical. But this is not magic, this is not some mystical ability reserved for a few special people. This is simply how reality has always worked. It's just that most people have been too disconnected to see it. But you are seeing it now. You are remembering something ancient, something powerful, something that has been waiting for you to reclaim it. The question now is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you continue to live as you always have, relying only on logic, on analysis, on the limited understanding that has kept you trapped in uncertainty? Or will you step fully into this new way of being? Will you trust the intelligence that has been guiding you since the day you were born? Will you surrender to the flow of wisdom that has always been available to you? Because once you do, there is no going back. Once you experience the effortless unfolding of life when you are aligned with the stream, you will never again believe in struggle. You will never again believe in limitation. You will know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that everything you need, everything you have ever sought, is already within you. And from this place, anything is possible. You are no longer a seeker. You are no longer lost. You are awake. You are aware. You are connected to the infinite stream of knowledge that has always been waiting for you, and now that you have found it, now that you have remembered it, there is only one thing left to do: live it. The moment you step into this awareness, the moment you fully embrace the idea that knowledge is something that flows through you rather than something you must chase, your entire experience of life transforms. You are no longer fighting against reality. You are no longer struggling to make things happen. You are moving with a force that has always been guiding you, a force that most people spend their lives ignoring. But you are not most people. You are beginning to remember what has been hidden. You are beginning to see through the illusion. You are beginning to understand that everything you have ever searched for has been quietly waiting for you to become still enough to recognize it. And when you do, something miraculous happens. You start to notice the world responding to you in ways you never expected. The right people begin to appear. The right opportunities unfold effortlessly. The answers to your deepest questions arrive without struggle. You begin to see how reality itself is alive, intelligent, interconnected, responding to the energy you hold, the thoughts you think, the alignment you create within yourself. For most people, this is difficult to accept. They have been conditioned to believe that life is random, that success is a matter of luck, that wisdom belongs only to those who have spent years studying, memorizing, proving themselves. But you are beginning to understand that the greatest wisdom does not come from textbooks. It does not come from years of memorization or effort. It comes from the moments when you stop thinking and start listening. It comes from the spaces between thoughts. It comes from the silence you once feared, the stillness you once avoided. You are beginning to understand why the most enlightened beings throughout history spent years in solitude, in meditation, in deep connection with something greater than themselves. They were not searching, they were receiving. They were not collecting information, they were opening themselves to revelation. And you have this ability too. It is not something reserved for a few. It is something that has always belonged to you. The only thing that has ever stood in your way is the noise, the doubt, the distraction, the programming that told you to trust the outside world more than your inner knowing. But now, you are waking up. You are seeing that the most profound answers do not come from the outside. They rise from within. So what does it mean to live this way? What does it mean to fully embrace the flow of knowledge, to trust the stream, to move in harmony with it instead of resisting it? It means that you begin to act with certainty, even when logic tells you otherwise. It means you follow the pull of your intuition, even when you cannot yet see where it is leading you. It means that you no longer allow fear to dictate your choices, because you know that the stream is always guiding you toward your highest path. And this is what separates those who struggle from those who thrive. Those who struggle do not trust. They overthink, they hesitate, they wait for proof, for guarantees, for validation. But those who thrive do something different. They move first, they trust first, they know first, and because they know, life bends to meet them. This is the secret that has been kept from you, the secret that those in power have spent centuries suppressing. Because the moment you tap into this knowledge, you become truly free, free from the need for external approval, free from the fear of the unknown, free from the illusion that you must fight for everything you desire. Because when you are truly connected, you do not fight. You align, you do not force. You allow, you do not doubt. You know. And from this state of knowing, from this place of deep trust, you begin to operate on an entirely different level. You start to see how the answers you once searched for are already within you. You realize that the future you once worried about is already unfolding exactly as it should. You understand that you were never meant to struggle for clarity, for direction, for wisdom, because the intelligence that creates entire galaxies is the same intelligence that moves through you. And the more you surrender to it, the more effortlessly life begins to work. You stop forcing doors open and instead they open for you. You stop searching for solutions and instead they appear before you. You stop trying to figure everything out and instead you receive what you need in perfect timing. This is not about sitting back and waiting for things to happen. This is about understanding how creation actually works. The universe does not respond to desperation. It does not respond to doubt. It responds to certainty. It responds to those who trust in the flow of knowledge, those who move with the stream rather than against it. And this is why those who are aligned with this intelligence seem to move through life with an ease that others do not understand. They are not forcing, they are not struggling, they are simply listening, trusting, acting, and because they trust, they receive. So ask yourself, what would happen if you stopped resisting? What would happen if you stopped doubting your instincts, stopped ignoring the pull of your intuition, stopped silencing the wisdom that has been trying to reach you for years? What would happen if you finally decided to trust in the stream of knowledge that has always been available to you? Because the moment you do, everything changes. The hesitation is gone, the confusion is gone, the struggle is gone. You move through life with a kind of confidence that cannot be explained, a kind of certainty that others will not understand. And it will feel like magic, but it is not magic. It is simply the truth of how reality has always worked. Most people will never experience this because they are too caught up in the illusion. They are too distracted by the noise, too focused on what is logical, too afraid to trust in something they cannot see. But you are beginning to see. You are beginning to remember. You are beginning to reconnect with something that has been waiting for you all along. And once you do, you will never go back. You will never again believe that life is random. You will never again believe that wisdom is something separate from you. You will never again doubt that the intelligence of the universe is always speaking to you, always guiding you, always revealing exactly what you need to know. Because now you know the truth. You were never meant to struggle for knowledge. You were never meant to live disconnected from the flow of wisdom. You were meant to receive. You were meant to trust. You were meant to move in harmony with the intelligence of the universe itself. And now that you have remembered this, now that you have awakened to what has always been within you, there is only one thing left to do. Live it. The moment you decide to live in alignment with this wisdom, everything begins to move differently. Life no longer feels like a series of random events. It feels orchestrated, intentional, precise. Every experience, every encounter, every so-called coincidence becomes another piece of a larger puzzle unfolding before you. And instead of feeling lost, you begin to feel guided. Instead of questioning every decision, you begin to act with certainty. Instead of doubting whether you're on the right path, you begin to know that you are exactly where you need to be. And this knowing changes everything. It allows you to move through the world in a way that others do not understand. It gives you a level of clarity that others will question. It makes you feel light, free, open to what is coming rather than fearful of what might go wrong. Because you finally recognize that there has never been anything to fear. the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, those were nothing more than blocks standing in the way of what was always available to you. And now that they are gone, now that you are no longer resisting, the flow of knowledge, of insight, of deep inner wisdom begins to pour through you in ways you never thought possible. You begin to realize that every question you have ever had already has an answer. You begin to see that every decision you have been struggling with already has a solution. The reason you could not see it before was because you were too focused on trying to figure it out. You were using the limited mind, the conditioned mind, the mind that was trained to believe in struggle, in logic, in hard work. But this knowledge does not belong to the logical mind. It belongs to something deeper. And the moment you begin to trust that deeper intelligence, you step into a new way of living, a way where things unfold naturally, a way where effort is replaced with alignment, a way where you no longer need to chase what is meant for you, because what is meant for you will always find you. And you will begin to notice something incredible. The more you trust, the more the stream responds. The more you listen, the louder the guidance becomes. The more you align, the more effortlessly things begin to fall into place. And suddenly, life does not feel like a battle anymore. It feels like a conversation, a dance between you and the intelligence that is always guiding you, always revealing, always speaking in a language that does not require words. And once you start living this way, you will realize that nothing outside of you has changed. The world is the same, the people are the same, the circumstances are the same, but you are different. And because you are different, reality itself begins to reshape around you. Opportunities that once seemed impossible suddenly present themselves. People who were once out of reach suddenly appear in your life. Situations that once caused stress and anxiety no longer have power over you. Because you are no longer reacting to life, you are creating it. You will begin to see that life has never been about luck. It has never been about struggle. It has always been about resonance. You attract what you align with. You receive what you are open to. You experience what you are ready for. And now you are ready. Ready to trust what has always been within you, ready to move in a way that feels natural, intuitive, effortless, ready to stop questioning whether or not you are capable, whether or not you are worthy, whether or not you can truly access this wisdom, because now you understand that there was never anything to access. There was only something to remember. And the more you remember, the more powerful you become, not in the way the world defines power, not through force, not through control, not through external achievement, but through something much deeper, a power that cannot be taken away because it does not come from the outside, a power that does not need validation because it is rooted in something eternal, a power that is not about proving yourself to the world, but about knowing yourself beyond the world. And this is the power that changes everything. This is the power that allows you to move without fear. This is the power that allows you to step into the unknown without hesitation. This is the power that turns obstacles into stepping stones, challenges into opportunities, setbacks into redirections. Because when you are connected to the stream, you see beyond what is in front of you. You understand that what looks like a dead end is just a shift in direction. You recognize that what seems like a delay is actually divine timing. You no longer panic when things don't go according to plan because you realize that your plan was never the highest plan to begin with. And this is where true freedom begins. The freedom to trust, the freedom to move without resistance, the freedom to stop needing all the answers before you take the next step, because you know that the next step will be revealed exactly when you need it. You know that the path is always unfolding, even when you cannot yet see it. You know that you do not need to struggle to reach what is already meant for you. And this is what most people will never understand. They will continue to live in doubt, in hesitation and uncertainty. They will continue to overthink, to question, to fear the unknown. They will continue to search for something that has been within them all along. But you will not, because you are no longer looking outward for the truth. You have found it within yourself. You have seen what was hidden in plain sight. You have awakened to the intelligence that has been guiding you since the moment you took your first breath. And now you are ready. Ready to trust what you cannot always explain. Ready to listen to what does not always make logical sense. ready to follow the pull of your intuition even when the world tells you otherwise. Because you know that the greatest minds in history did not follow logic alone. They followed something deeper. They moved with something greater. They trusted in something unseen. And that trust is what set them apart. And now it is setting you apart. Because the moment you make the decision to live in alignment with this intelligence, you step into a reality that few will ever experience. A reality where the right answers come before you even ask the question. A reality where the right people show up before you even realize you need them. A reality where life begins to unfold in ways that seem impossible to those who are still living from a place of doubt. But for you, it will no longer seem impossible. It will seem normal. Because this is the way life was always meant to be lived. This is the way creation was always meant to work. This is the way you were always meant to move through the world, not in struggle, not in fear, but in absolute trust that the intelligence that created you is the same intelligence that is guiding you. And once you truly understand this, once you fully step into this way of being, you will never doubt again. You will never question whether or not you are supported. You will never wonder whether or not you are on the right path, because you will know, and that knowing is what will carry you forward. That knowing is what will allow you to move with confidence, with clarity, with a sense of purpose that cannot be shaken. Because once you awaken to the truth, you can never go back to the illusion. Once you see the path, you can never unsee it. Once you realize that you are connected to something far greater than yourself, you can never again believe in limitation. Because now you know who you are. You are not lost, you are not separate, you are not waiting for wisdom to find you. You are wisdom. You are the stream. And now you are finally awake.